Welcome to another fantastic episode of Brand Chops where we're chopping up brands to see what they're made of. My name is Zack Lemear.
And I'm Chris Duhaime, and today we're going to be talking about the new year. We're going to set some new branding resolutions for 2025. We just want to go through some of that we think are going to be most important for you guys.
Yeah, and these aren't your typical resolutions. We're focusing on clarity, focus, and actions that will make your brand thrive this year. New Year's resolutions are often about personal growth, but your brand needs them too.
Yeah, just think of them as like your annual check-in for your brand, making sure it's aligned with your goals and just making sure that you're keeping consistent with your end results.
We've got 6 resolutions that every brand should adopt for 2025. Let's just jump right in. So here are our top 6 brand resolutions. The first one is gaining clarity and focus in your brand, starting with your purpose, your mission, your vision, and your core values. If you don't know what you stand for, then no one else is going to stand with you. What are your goals? Is everything you're focused on working towards those goals, or do you just get easily distracted by what's easy or trendy? Who are you targeting? Do they need your services? Do you know what their pain points are? Are they the right people to focus your time, money, and energy on?
I think it's important to, really highlight the idea of understanding who your ideal client is and really being able to focus in on who you enjoy working with, who gets you up in the morning, who's the one that you enjoy answering the phone for. Those are the types of people you want to be getting more of. So it's really important that you're able to target that specific audience and not just take everything that comes in. That's not always the best way to grow.
Yeah, and just getting back to the whole understanding your purpose, your mission, your vision, your core values, especially, these people should be aligning with your core values. You want people that understand and value what you do. You want people that are going to show up and put the time in. You want people who aren't going to try to demean your value by trying to nickel and dime you to death and try to make you lower your price because they don't see the value in what you sell. This is okay. This is why having this clarity in the beginning is so important, because you can make these yes and no decisions, and it's much easier to make these because it's either a heck yes or a heck no. The second one is prioritize your customer experience, because your brand lives in their minds. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that your brand is not about you. It's not for you. It's for the people you serve, and because you solve their problem. Branding works like a nickname. You can't choose it, but you do have the power to influence the consumer's perception by being clear, focused, and consistent in everything you do, especially understanding your brand promise and consistently fulfilling it. It's really important to know what it is, because your brand really ultimately is just the promises that you keep. It's not the promises you make, because you can make a bunch of promises and break them, and the only promise you kept is that you break promises. And now that's your brand. That is how that works. And so you've got to be careful. And you have ultimate power over the influence, because people's perception is reality. And if you can influence their perception by showing up consistently in a way that means something to them, in a way that solves their problem, you're going to build a brand that lasts.
And I think the way that you really can prioritize your customer experience is going to be in our third resolution, which is to strengthen your online presence by engaging with really consistent content. Once you get the clarity and the focus you need, you can build the content that people actually want to know about. How would it work if you showed up to a networking event and you changed your clothes and your name tag every 30 minutes? It'd be really difficult to understand exactly who you are and what you do. At the end of the night, if somebody were to ask if they had met you, no one would really know or be able to say yes, because you weren't consistent about your clothing or your name tag. So they wouldn't necessarily know who you were and that you showed up that you showed up properly.
It's true, because it's all about consistency. And like I was saying before, you have the power to influence their perception. And if you show up inconsistently, then no one has a chance to get to know you. No one's going to trust you, because they don't know who you are, and you don't have a chance to consistently build that promise that we talked about. And if that promise is you're going to show up in a way that is meaningful, impactful, professional, whatever, but you show up like a clown for 30 minutes, you show up like a cowboy for 30 minutes, you show up like a professional for 30 minutes, and you have a different name tag. Hey, did anyone get to meet Zack this week? I don't know. I think I saw somebody named Zack, but I was really focused on that weird clown that was awkward in the corner, or whatever it is. The point is that without consistency, you can't build trust.
Exactly. And another way to build consistency in our fourth resolution is building out a brand book or some sort of guideline for your marketing decisions. So this could be things like what your logo looks like in a vertical or horizontal view, what it looks like is just an icon, what your colors are, the fonts you want to be using, the voice and tone, things that you do and don't want to use when you're communicating to your audience, content pillars, which are things you want to stay consistent with throughout all your social media or just your content in general. You want to build a brand that's easy for others to recognize and remember and share. And it's all about building that communication. And this is going to be super valuable, not only to yourself, but also to the agencies you're working with, to the employees that you have. It's just about building that consistency across your entire brand.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if big brands like Apple changed their logo slightly on every package, you'd be like, wait, is this a knockoff? I have no idea what this is, because it's that consistency that builds trust. And you know, oh wait, I see this logo on this product. I know it's going to fulfill the promise that I've gotten accustomed to for decades at this point. And if they made products that didn't align with their goals or brand promise, like how are you supposed to build trust in a company that can't seem to figure themselves out? And that's what it makes you look like if you aren't consistent. It also helps you with your sales team. Do you want your sales team to stop overselling? Do you want to make the training of the sales team easier because you have all of your branding and messaging figured out? Or are you okay with having a lot of turnover, difficulty in training, and the consistent threat of overselling because they don't really understand what you sell? What makes you different, and why anyone else should even care to choose to work with you? And I think that's a lot. And we have other episodes that talk a little bit more with other sales professionals about the alignment of your brand with a sales team. It makes everything easier. It makes everything more streamlined. It takes the friction out of the sales process. And if you do have some turnover, it's super easy to get everybody on the same page because there is a page to get on.
And then I would say our fifth resolution for 2025 is going to be investing in your business and your brand, and that's going to be through maybe some professional design or some overall strategy, just to make sure that you're on the right track. We just want you to stop throwing away money toward trendy tactics that maybe don't actually work for your brand. So just getting some advice from somebody that's in the industry that can give you a little bit more know-how of why a particular tactic is used or not used. And then you can make your decision at that point. But just to educate yourself a little bit more about the tactics and making sure you're not just doing whatever happens to be trendy at the time. And then if you're doing things that are DIY, maybe you're using Canva or other systems, really look at how much time those things take for you to do, and make sure you're cost averaging out exactly what that time is going to cost you at the end of the day. It might be cheaper for you to actually hire somebody, and you can focus on other things in your business that are going to make you more money.
Yeah, absolutely. And this applies to small businesses, to larger businesses, medium-sized businesses, especially in the beginning stages, because think about the problems you might be creating for yourself if you're not clear, if you're not focused, if you don't have all of your stuff in alignment. Now you want to get some apparel done. You want to hire these salespeople. You want to align yourself with the right employees, the people that really believe in what you believe in, so that they're the ones on the other end of the phone really just advocating for your brand. You want brand advocates in these seats. You don't want just warm bodies. And you get that by having that clarity and really just doing this foundational work. And it doesn't take a large, huge investment. It doesn't take a lot of work comparative to what a business takes on a general everyday basis, but it is going to be the thing that helps you stay afloat in the sea of business, so to speak.
Exactly. And our last resolution is really just doing a check on yourself. Do a brand audit for any consistencies you might have throughout your brand. So really taking a look at, what are you putting out there for ads? What are you putting out there for messaging? What do your business cards look like? What's your overall marketing strategy look like? And just make sure that the things that you're doing are consistent. Because oftentimes what happens is maybe one operations manager over here is doing something, you're doing something else. You may have hired an agency to do something at some point. And I think the goal is just to make sure that everything's cohesive and on brand, and that you're not just posting whenever you want for whatever you want. So just make sure you're understanding exactly what problem you solve, and make sure that you're helping to solve that problem with really viable, consistent answers.
Yeah, and if you want to do a quick test, if someone familiar with your brand in any way was asked what you stand for, what problem you solve, how you can help them solve it, would they know the answer? Or would they say, well, I'm not really sure because last week they posted something about AI. This week they posted something about Post-it notes. A month ago, they posted something about their favorite coffee or their kids. How are you showing up consistently to build that relationship? You got to think about your brand as a person. It's a personality, and people want to get to know that personality. And how many people listening right now have ever said, I love blank, I hate blank, and associated an emotion with a product because it's consistently solved the problem, but ultimately it's consistently delivered on the promise that it made. These steps are the foundation for long-term success at the end of the day, and they help you avoid wasted marketing dollars. 2025 is the year to stop with the spaghetti marketing. Just stop throwing things at the wall, hoping that it sticks. It just makes a mess and the noodles taste like your wallpaper. Have a strategy, follow a proven recipe, take your time, and you'll be amazed at who comes to dinner.
So I'd say this is going to be your action plan for today. It's going to be write down your top 3 branding goals for 2025. Schedule yourself a monthly review, even if it's just yourself. Just make sure that something's on the calendar to ensure that you're staying on track. And finally, just celebrate the small wins. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So just make sure that you're, when you do something that you're proud of, that you actually celebrate that win with your team.
And most importantly, again, just stop winging it. Your brand is your reputation. Absolutely. It's the experience that people are having. It's not your logo. So stop focusing so much on your logo. Stop focusing so much on this is my business and I like my logo to look like my favorite colors and me, my, because you're missing the whole point. Your whole purpose of a business is to solve someone else's problem. It's not about a list of your favorite things or having a logo that has a name that you thought was funny in college that no one really talks about anymore. A lot of businesses make this mistake. And yes, can you build a brand that makes this work? Yes, you can, but it takes a lot more effort. I don't know if this is actually facts, but I know in one of the Steve Jobs movies, they mentioned that like the reason why he said Apple is because Apple is the fruit of creation. Now, if that's true or not, I'm not sure. I can't back that up with data, but let's just pretend that it is true. What an amazing alignment with the product's brand promise. Every time you look at Apple, you think about the fruit of creation, you think about the Adam and Eve, you think about, falling on Newton's head and inspiration and intelligence and creativity. And it's also just simple. And it's a complicated thing that they've whittled down to the most simple elements. And I think that that's an important piece to take away from this is really figuring this out in the beginning, using 2025 to give yourself a nice audit, to figure out what you stand for as a company, to really start showing up consistently so that your customers and your future customers can build a relationship with your brand. And your brand is not you. That's the other big thing. You got to get yourself away from that. Your brand is its own entity. And you don't want it to be you because then it cannot live without you. And then you don't have a business, you just have a job because you can't walk away from it and have it stand on its own. So those were our takeaways for 2025. I hope this was helpful. This is just a quick and short podcast. We'll go over and in the show notes, we'll put all these 6 resolutions in there so that you can have an easier way to see them. But honestly, we'd love for you to in the comments of any of this in the social media, what your 2025 branding resolutions are. Some of you might have these already locked in, and some of these things might just need a little bit of a push. But ultimately, these are things that are going to help you and your business succeed over the long term. So thanks for kicking off 2025 with us. Don't forget to subscribe and share. And we'll see you next time on Brand Chops, where we're chopping up brands to see which we're made of.
See you guys later. Have a good one.
Brand Chops is brought to you by the fine people at Pivot Creative. Pivot Creative is a full-service branding and marketing agency that partners with businesses to build brands that connect so that every dollar you spend is an investment and not an expense. If you need some branding or marketing guidance, a website, a new brand, or want to learn more about one of the topics we cover on the show, please reach out to us at pivotcreative.com. If you know someone that would benefit from learning more from one of our shows, please share the episode. Visit brand-chops.com. And as always, like and subscribe if you find this content to be helpful. See you next time on Brand Chops, where we chop up brands to see what they're made of.